right. Hey, everybody. It is Andrea Jenson with the Cashflow CFO. And thank you so much for joining us on another CFO Coffee Talk. Today, I am joined by Shannon Brown of Centric Marketing. And I'm super excited to have this conversation with Shannon today because her company has recently gone through quite an evolution of the services, the branding, all the really cool stuff that as a marketing company is exciting to hear that you kind of did a marketing job on your own company. So I think that'll be really exciting for our listeners to hear about. And Shannon, welcome.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, you're welcome. So tell us a little bit about you and about your company, and then we'll dive into some questions.
Sure. I'm Shannon Brown. I'm the CEO of Centric, and we are a full service advertising agency, and we are headquartered in San Diego. I'm out of Point Loma in San Diego, and I've been here since '96. So I feel like I have really good roots here in Southern California. And I've just always had a passion to help people market their services and goods, but always, with a greater good in mind. Like how can someone benefit from somebody's product or services?
I love that. That's awesome. And then tell us a little bit about. You've recently just undergone, big branding change in your company and things like that. So how did you decide it was time to do that in your company's life cycle? Because you've been in business for how many years now?
So since 2000.
Okay.
The company Centric, which was formerly Brown Marketing Strategies, started in 2007. So I've had 3 agencies since 2000. But that was more consultant level, the first 2. And this one, developing a team and, really scaling has been under the Centric umbrella since 2007.
Gotcha. So how did you make that decision to just go all in under the one umbrella, if you will?
Sure. So I had, the first agency was a consulting gig that I had. So it was just me. And the second I had merged with someone. So I had a partner. And then, we had a partnership for about 5 years, and then we just, wanted to take different directions. And I really wanted to stick to the greater good of what we do. So under Centric, we actually, with our rebrand, treated ourselves like a client. So it's very interesting. We were a pain in the butt to ourselves, but it was really fun. I mean, to be able to do that analysis like we do for clients. And what came out of that was we wanted to inspire individuals and enrich communities. So the entire team embraced that, and that became our vision. So from there, we took our big picture vision and moved forward. And those that really, felt it and could buy into that are still with the company today.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of what is that saying? The cobbler has no shoes, or the cobbler's kid has no shoes.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we're doing the doing for our clients in a specific, niche or industry, right? We sometimes neglect our own businesses. And
we kind of did that for many years. I mean, in the infancy stage of Brown Marketing Strategies, there was 4 to 5 of us, right? And now we're growing up to 20, and I have amazing team of experts. And I thought, this isn't Brown anymore. We are growing into something significant here. So I felt when I approached the team and said, hey, I feel like we should change our name. I mean, eyes were lit up. Everyone was super excited. And I thought, okay, this is the right decision.
Yeah. So did your company vision also shift when you made that kind of decision?
Yeah, I think, we always in my mind had that I wanted to help individuals and make a difference for them with the clients that we work with and what they have to offer. So it was super easy to come up with that tagline that we have for Centric because we were already doing it. We just didn't have it in writing. We didn't have it nailed down. We didn't have our pitch down. So, which is back to your point of the cobbler not having any shoes. So
I think all business owners can relate to that on some level. At some point in their business, that has been the case. Yes, for sure. Very cool. And so you said you have a team now of 20-ish?
Yeah, it ebb and flows between 18 to 20 because we have a ambassador team.
Okay.
So in addition to our full-time team, that's usually anywhere, from I would say 12 to 14, we have ambassadors that go out and represent our clients, kind of a street team, so to speak. And that actually comes from my radio background, because that's how I started. I was in radio. And so doing all the radio promotions and having street team promotions, I kept that with our agency, and it's been great. So many people need us because they don't have the internal teams to be able to handle all the promotion that they do on the streets.
Yeah, that is very cool. That is something that really probably sets you guys apart from your services by having that.
We recently, with the rebrand, came up with the Centric 360 ad network. And what that is for us, for our differentiator, is taking our digital marketing, our traditional media, and then our outreach. And if we combine that together, we really have an impact with engagement. So we're finding that that's a great differentiator for us.
I love that. Very cool. And so one of the team members you have is a fractional CFO, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. So tell our listeners a little bit about where were you at in your business journey, or the life cycle of your business, when you decided that was the right move for you to bring that role in on your team?
So I've always had like a CFO advisor, but I never had anyone internal to really look at the business. So I've always had a bookkeeper, right? And I was always looking at what happened, not what could happen and where are we going. And in 2016, we became an S Corp. And I really started to understand, like, wow, I really don't have a handle on our cash flow. I don't have a handle on a growth pattern for us and a staffing plan, because I don't know what the revenue is looking like. Everything was historic, and I didn't realize how important that was. Because I'm not a numbers person. I'm just a creative head, and we would get campaigns and get excited and make them happen. And, that was our success. So I realized, to scale, I really need an expert, and I am no expert. As functional as a bookkeeper can be, they have their role, right? And so we added on an accountant, but I still felt we still need that visionary person on the numbers side. And it was the best decision I ever made. I mean, at first, I'll be honest, the thought was like, oh my gosh, okay, I have to budget for this and start, writing a check for this. And it was the best decision I ever made. And I highly recommend it to everybody, that it's so important, because again, the bookkeeper just kept my doors open, but it wasn't helping me scale.
Yeah. I love that. So what are some of the things that have processes, procedures, things that have been implemented in your business since having that skill set on your team?
Forecasting. I've never had forecasting before. We have we look at 13 weeks, right? And then we obviously look out for the year, but we're actually looking into the future years, which we've never done that before. Looking at different revenue streams, looking at where we could save money, right? And be effective, but also what are revenue streams we could look at to continue to grow. And even looking at, now I just had a conversation Friday with my fractional CFO about mergers and acquisitions. And it's like, I would have never thought I would have been there, but now that I have the expertise by my side, it's amazing.
It's like having that senior level person that can hold your hand and kind of walk you through what if we did this? And what if we did this?
And what's great is they can also oversee anyone in accounting below, right, at a lower level, to make sure that we're actually making the right decisions. And how does that impact our taxes? And how does that impact our strategy? Because I'm big picture. So I can only, it's just not my wheelhouse. And in order to see the company scale, I really need that expertise on the team.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. Clearly, right? That's what we do.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about when you are looking at staffing, right? How are you determining, I see these projects that are coming down the pipeline on my sales pipeline. How are you looking at that and determining when to start staffing up or the ebb and flow of your team size?
Yeah, great question. So I actually did something this year that I would normally not do, but because I had factual data in hand from my fractional CFO, I was like, okay, if looking at that sales pipeline, we do a lot of RFPs, so we have all of these projections coming in there. We have opportunities for non-RFPs. And so I just looked at my overall org chart and I started plotting in what would it look like if we won this percentage of business, or if this category grew in this revenue stream. And I started just creating the positions. And then I actually worked with our accounting team with our fractional CFO to put together a staffing budget for me, which I've never had a staffing budget before. We just kind of, winged it as we went along and hired as we needed, but it's actually strategic. And it's really fun. So it's kind of like chess. I love it. It's a lot more interesting to me, because before I thought, I don't have time to deal with that. But now that I have, a strategic partner with me, helping me, it's more fun.
Yeah. No, I love that. So you've acquired probably not a love for it, right? Because if you're not a numbers person, it's hard to say that, go that far, but it's something that you appreciate now, it sounds like.
Oh, for sure. And I see how that impacts my growth and where I want to go. And I have more confidence because now I know numbers don't lie, right? So now that I have the historical data, I have future data, it helps me sleep at night.
I love that.
Yeah.
So what are some of the other things in your services that you provide? What are some of your favorite types of services? Because I know you guys have a wide variety of offerings. So what are some of your favorite clients to work with or services to provide?
Sure. So we are full service. So we look at digital and traditional media. We usually do a combination of that. And then when we tie in our outreach, public relations falls under that, social media, event, logistics, event planning. We do, branding, websites. It's really looking at the big picture. Okay, what does this company need to increase their bottom line? So I always look at a company as not just, let us slap this marketing campaign together for you and make you look all cool. It's like, well, how are we going to make you money? And how are we going to reach the people you need to reach, but also impact them with the great quality products and services that you have? So that's kind of how we approach it. And we really pride ourselves in, if a company already has a good infrastructure, a brand from, let's say, a website or their name or things that we're doing, we don't like to come in and scratch that and change it because we want to be able to say we did that. We really want to see what do they currently have that's working? How can we build on that to be able to save them money so we can do other things to really impact their ROI? So that's how we approach everything that way.
I think that's brilliant. I think that's like, here's an asset you've already invested in. How can we squeeze the most juice out of that asset as possible? What would you say for the business owners out there that are looking at their marketing and going, I wonder if I have the right team, the right type of marketing? Where would they start to kind of break that down and see, is this working for me or is it not?
Sure. I always say, I've talked to so many companies that don't even have someone internally. And I think it's so important to at least have a key contact, right? And it can't be the owner. The owner just doesn't have time. It needs to be somebody that really understands the business. And if you don't have that person in place, you shouldn't be hiring, in my opinion, an agency, because the agency is going to spin their wheels trying to get a hold of the owner or trying to get a hold of someone within the company that really doesn't have a handle on things. And it's going to be a waste of money. So I think, my recommendation to smaller businesses is to start within and build up your credibility with your brand understand your vision so you can promote it to your customer base, right? And then hire somebody on your team that understands your vision and can express that out to the customers. And then once that starts cranking, look to an agency if you can't afford to actually bring a full service in-house, right? Look to an agency to be a fractional, right, marketer for you, CMO, or even, just part-time support on the things that you are not an expert at, but I always say to clients, you're not ready. You're not ready for an agency. You really need, to set this infrastructure up in that first. And I think a lot of times I recommend that they hire outreach people first, right? To go out and network and build the community relations, because that needs to happen so people can start to have a trust in your brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what would you say for companies that are online or digital companies that don't have necessarily like that community foundation?
I think it's a voice. So what is creating your content? So what does that voice look like? And being consistent with your voice. So again, you can hire someone to help you create that online presence. But if you don't have someone internally to be, to be the conduit to connect and make sure what is being said and promoted is accurate, you're setting yourself up for failure. So if you have someone internally that can work with an external agency, then there's the success, because use them as the expert, come up with the ideas. You say, this is what we're doing. Here's our plan. And someone over here in the company can go, yeah, that aligns exactly what we're doing in sales. That aligns with exactly what we're doing with our mission. And then off you go.
That's great advice. And could that be a part-time person to start, and then you move that into a full-time role and then bring in the agency?
Yeah, absolutely. And it can actually be someone that's already in the company. And that's another thing. It's like, don't overlook who you already have in your company. There could be somebody that's been with you and knows everything, and maybe has a knack for some marketing. It doesn't have to be an expert in every area, but understands what's important and how to present that. And then I think bringing an outside agency can be effective.
So they would almost be like that brand ambassador.
Yeah.
Because they've lived and breathed it for so long working in the company that they can easily speak to, I like that.
Right. Yeah. And then they have a working relationship, assuming, with the president, CEO. So that if you're pushing something out there, it's aligning with what they're actually doing internally.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
There you go. That's your wisdom bomb for the day, everybody that's listening, all of our business owners, because we're always, looking at ways to maximize efficiency, and also the lead time to take somebody from the outside and train them into that role. You're going to be spending a lot of extra money versus what Shannon just said. You've already got that person. Just figure out who it is. Go find out who's your social media queen on their personal side.
Yeah,
exactly. If would be a good fit for that role. Yeah. I love that. Shannon, what other advice would you give to business owners who are looking to scale to the 7 and 8 figures?
Gosh, there's so many different things. I think it's really looking to what I found is, looking within yourself. If you're the CEO, president of company, and where your leadership is and how that trickles down to your team, right? Because that creates the culture, and making sure that your team culture aligns. And then I think that ties into your vision, right? And then that helps everybody be on the same path, driving the ship together, right? Versus trying to pivot separately and creating kind of some chaos and clogs in the funnel, so to speak. So I just encourage, these are things I never thought of before actually my fractional CFO started, because I wasn't thinking of those things. And so those questions he was asking me really, really made me think about it. It's like, so you start working on those things, and I'd say leadership was a big one for me, and realizing how I needed to lead in order to start scaling. And then I think I always recommend resources too, other resources, mentors, business groups, business networking, reading a lot. LinkedIn for me is my library. I mean, I learn so much on LinkedIn every day for every department that I have, and sharing that information to help train up, coach up my team as well.
That's brilliant. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. And how can our listeners find out more about you and your company and the services that you offer?
Sure. Well, we're easy to find online. You can just go to centricmarketing.com and you'll see our website there. We have a Let's Get Connected area. You can connect if you want. I'm happy to have emails directly to me, and that's, Shannon at centricmarketing.com. And we're easy to find on social. Yeah, so you can kind of learn more about us, but our website really, has a clear outline of who we are, what we do, and the clients we work with.
Wonderful. Well, anybody who likes what Shannon has to say, I think she's brilliant. So go check her out. And thank you so much for spending some time with me today and sharing your wealth of knowledge. And you've just really created such an amazing business, and it's just inspiring to hear about. So thank you so much for being on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was super fun. And I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys, for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.